No More, which is an organization that says together we could end domestic violence and sexual assault. So what is No More? No More is a unifying symbol designed to bring awareness and action to end domestic violence and sexual assault. The symbol and organization originated in 2009 and became the first universal symbol to group the two issues together. The teal circle is to represent the concept of a zero, as in a zero tolerance policy for domestic violence and sexual assault, and the misplaced shame and stigma that surrounds them. And what the organization is trying to do is to make the symbol as powerful and as recognizable as the pink breast cancer ribbon did for breast cancer awareness and the red ribbon did for HIV/AIDS. So I believe it relates to the topics we discussed in class because it correlates with the sexism unit, and as we know, sexism is a system of advantages that serves to privilege men, subordinate women, denigrate men, identify values and practices, enforce male dominance and control, and reinforce forms of masculinity that are dehumanizing and damaging to men. Who is behind No More? Is every major domestic violence and sexual assault organization, including but not limited to A Call to Men, Men Can Stop Rape, National Domestic Violence Hotline, which we talked about in class, the Joyful Heart Foundation, which was the first foundation whose mission was to heal, educate, and empower survivors of sexual assault, domestic violence, and child abuse, and to shed light into the darkness that surrounds the issues, and End the Backlog, which is a whole nother issue, but basically End the Backlog is an organization whose goal is to diminish the backlog of hundreds of thousands of untested rape kits in this country. And what that means is when a female or a male is raped, and if they go to the hospital, they are examined and treated as evidence in the hospital for 4 to 6 hours. And somehow our country has let this collected evidence pile up in storage facilities collecting dust, hundreds of thousands of them, rather than being brought to trial or being brought to justice. So what's the difference, domestic violence versus sexual assault? Domestic violence can take many forms, including physical, sexual, emotional, verbal, economic, or psychological abuse. Domestic violence is a crime rooted in power and control. It is never caused by making someone angry or upset. It is never justifiable or excusable. Sexual assault, misinterpretation between sexual assault and sexual coercion. Sexual assault is physical abuse encompassing force to perform unwelcome sexual involvement without consent. It's a violent sexual contact usually resulted from being pressured or completely overpowered. Although the two crimes are different, they are both motivated with the intent to hurt, harm, and humiliate the victim, and it is important to remember that it is never to the fault of the survivor. Why do we say no more? I think this is the statistics is the most important part and the biggest eye-opener, in my opinion, to bring awareness, because 1 in 4 women experience violence from their partners in their lifetime. 1 in 6 women are survivors of sexual assault. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 6 men were sexually abused before the age of 18. In this next hour, 30 individuals will be sexually assaulted and 400 women will be battered. 1 in 71 men are raped in their lifetime and 1 in 5 women are raped in their lifetime. And when I saw these statistics the other day, and especially that last one, 1 in 5 women, I live in a house of 5 women. And that just, thinking about that, it really hits close to home because it's so prominent and deeply inflicting our society. So now that we learned about the statistics, we can think about it this way. It's 12.7 million people are physically abused, raped, or stalked by their partners in 1 year. That's approximately the population of New York City and Los Angeles combined. So that's 24 people every minute, and it's because it's someone you know. So how can I say no more? We learned about what it is, the organization, the statistics, so what can I do to help? What can I do to be an ally? This is a quote taken directly from Mariska Hargitay, who is more popularly known as a star of Law & Order Special Victims Unit. But since the content of the show deeply impacted her life and deeply impacts 12.7 million people every year, she decided to start the Joyful Heart Foundation as a way to help survivors, the way that I mentioned earlier. So she says, I'll tell you what you can do. You can talk about it, because people aren't talking about it because they're scared to talk about it. By simply talking about it, you can save a person's life, and certainly the trajectory of their life. And one more quote that I think relates to that was said by Peter Herman, who is also a Joyful Heart Foundation board member and actor. He says, perpetrators depend on silence. Think about a criminal, think about a rapist, think about an abusive spouse. Think about how helpful it is to them if nobody is willing to talk about their crimes. It's genius for them. It's fantastic. They thrive on it. So these issues thrive in silence. They thrive in darkness. So over the summer, the No More organization and Mariska Hargitay collaborated with 50 other celebrities to make a public service announcement saying why they say no more to domestic violence and sexual abuse.
No more, it's none of my business.
No more, I'm sure they'll work it out.
No more, boys will be boys.
No more, I'll say something next time.
No more, why didn't she tell anyone?
No more, she was flirting with him.
No more. She's too smart to let that happen.
No more, not my problem.
No more,
He didn't mean it. No more. Why doesn't she just leave? No more. He said he was sorry. No more. She was drunk.
No more, she was asking for it.
No more, she seems just fine to me. No more,
She should have been more careful.
No more, we don't talk about that.
No more bystanding.
No more ignorance.
no more excuses.
no more,
No more.
no more.